Hi there, this is the introduction to your next programming assignment, GuitarHero. So for this assignment, your goal is to write a program that can actually simulate a guitar that you can play with your keyboard. Um, in the specification, it kind of describes some of the physics behind how the sound works and the algorithm you'll be using to simulate sound. And your goal is to write two classes, one called guitar string, which actually represents a vibrating string on a guitar, and the other is guitar 37, which is a guitar with 37 strings, which you'll be using your keyboard to actually play. I think when students first try to read this assignment, they read it from the top to the bottom multiple times until it completely they try to completely make sense out of everything that's going on, and I do not recommend that. The physics of how sound works is pretty complicated, and the exact reason why this algorithm actually works is also kind of complicated, and you actually don't need to understand that in order to do the assignment. So when reading through the first part of the spec where it's describing guitar string, you'll notice that after reading it a couple times, it'll notice it'll tell you exactly what you should be doing. First do this, then do this. And if you kind of follow those steps, you'll end up getting a working guitar string. So you'll know your guitar string's working because one, we have a test program for you called test string, which you could run, and it will tell you that it passes if your guitar string works. And the other is you can use the GuitarHero class to actually play the guitar. So we start off with just a class we wrote called Guitar Light, which only has two keys, A and C. So I can hit A and C and back and forth again. And that is just testing your guitar string using our guitar that only has two strings. The second part of your assignment is actually implementing the guitar. So Guitar Light, the one that's being used in the GuitarHero program, is actually a really great example of how the guitar should work. The only difference is this one only has two strings, so you're going to generalize it to have 37 strings. So your class Guitar 37 will actually do this generalization. So then, once you've done implementing all the methods in the guitar interface that we defined and you should implement in the Guitar 37, then you should be able to play your guitar with all 37 keys. The way to actually test that out is go to GuitarHero, change Guitar Light to Guitar 37. And again, this is the power of why interfaces are important, is because we can just change one line of code, use a different implementation of guitar, and none of the rest of the GuitarHero class actually has to change. So I'm going to try compiling and running that. And now I can play many keys. And you notice that it's actually printing out that there are some bad keys when you press keys that don't belong in the keyboard. But this is the basic idea of what you're doing in this assignment. Now, to test your Guitar 37, we provided a file called test37, or a folder called test37. And what you should do is you should copy your code from Guitar 37 into that folder and run the test 37 program. Now, be careful when you're making copies of your program because you might mix up which version is the real version. So the one inside test 37 should just be considered a copy. You should not be editing it. You should edit your main one and just copy and do it every single time. With that being said, this assignment, while it can be complicated at first because you don't quite know what is going on, and that's actually kind of a normal thing for programmers, right? I write code sometimes that for biologists, I don't completely understand how biology works. The biologist just comes to me and tells me, hey, this is the thing, this is the process, please actually make this do this. I'm like, okay, I know it. I don't know why what you said works, but it does. And then I do it and the algorithm works. This is a very important skill of being able to separate the details of what you don't need to know versus what you do. And this assignment really does test that because there's a lot of stuff going on and you need to kind of figure out what parts you need to actually pay attention to. As usual, on the course website, there will be the output comparison tool for the Test 37 program to help you see if the program, if you're implementing the class correctly. And then, as always, we'll have be updating the general style deductions so that you can know what kind of things you should be looking out for style-wise for this assignment at a minimum. There's always more things, probably the things mentioned in the spec and mentioned in lecture and section, but these are the things you should definitely be keeping an eye out for. Okay, best of luck on the assignment, and I'll see you all soon.